YouTube, how's it going? It's time for yet another cigar review. And this one is going to be a Casa de Garcia Churchill Red. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a pretty smooth cigar. It's maybe a slightly oily type finish. There's a couple fairly good sized veins in here, but hopefully it won't be a problem or anything. I don't know if you can see along here, there's a kind of a vein continues up along this side, but this is kind of a cheaper cigar, but it's one that this guy recommended at the shop, my local shop here. I think this is supposed to have a little bit of sweetness in it. I'm not sure what any other kind of notes, but it's got sort of just a dry, musty wood tobacco smell. Not a very strong smell. Just kind of a dry, musty wood tobacco smell is really what I get. I'm not expecting great things from the cigar, but we'll see what happens. I mean, it's kind of cheaper, and there are some parts that feel kind of uneven. Like part of it's kind of pretty soft, and part of it's more firm. But we'll see. Hopefully, it doesn't burn too unevenly. I'm going to cut it up as a double cap. Cut that a little bit unevenly. Alright, let me go ahead and toast it up here. My Zippo. There's a lot of fuel in there. I guess that's why the flame's so big. I would say it's a medium to loose draw. It's a little bit on the loose side. It's not too bad. Let's see. I'm getting a little bit of a spice, a little bit of a pepper zing, and also just a little bit of sweetness. It's definitely kind of a pepper zing, kind of on the front of the tongue, the tip of the tongue. It's not very sweet. It's not like a syrupy sweet, or like a coffee sweet. Really, it's more like a I don't know, just a little bit of just a hint of like sweet tobacco, I guess. I don't know, but it's not a strong syrupy sweet or anything like that. But so far I like it. It's different. you know, I'm not used to. I guess I'm not used to finding peppery and sweet in the same cigar. So it's an interesting combination. Produces quite a bit of smoke. But I'm going to smoke this down a good ways and let you guys know any updates. Well, I'm about 26 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and ash this for the second time. Got the ash there. Alright. This cigar is actually changing quite a bit. The first notes I gave you, the slightly sweet taste with the little bit of a peppery zing, that only lasted about 5 or 10 minutes. And then it actually kind of took a turn for the worse, in my opinion. It was kind of went to a dry, papery, kind of bitter, a little bit of a bitter taste. But that didn't last terribly long. And that kind of changed to a little bit of a dry wood with, it's kind of going between like a dry wood and almost like a slightly sweet chemical taste, sort of. But it's not too bad. I'm just happy to see a cigar that kind of changes more. Last, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 cigars I've had have just been either the same thing the whole time, or maybe it changes once or twice, just, you know, not very many changes. But this is definitely an interesting cigar. It's changing a lot, so it's good, good change for me. Still got the fairly loose draw, producing lots of smoke still. And this is one you can kind of, I think this is one you can kind of set down for a minute or so, and it's not going to go out too easily on you. I was sitting there texting a minute ago. I was texting my friend, and you know, picked it back up and puffed on it, and it was, you know, lit just fine. And the first time I did that, I was texting and I picked it back up and puffed on it again. That was when the flavor was like almost completely different from the last puff. So. It sort of is going a little bit back to the sort of dry, papery taste now. But I might let it set for a minute before I puff on it again, see if it changes anymore. But yeah, that's the update so far. I will probably let you know when I'm almost finished with the cigar. Thanks for watching so far. Well, I'm back for the final update. Like I said at the beginning, that cigar kind of changed a lot. Toward the last half of the cigar, it kind of stayed more the same. It was kind of going between, I guess you could say, the sometimes a papery, dry papery taste, sometimes kind of a more dry, woody, slightly sweet chemical taste. I kind of went back and forth between those two a little bit for the rest of the smoke, pretty much. I'm just about at the hour mark right now, and it is getting a little more kind of a more bittery, dry, papery taste now. Getting a little warm, so I'm about to end it here. But throughout the smoke, just occasionally I'll get just on the odd puff, you know, occasionally just a small hit of a pepper zing again, but nothing lingering really, just on the odd puff. Sometimes I'll get that. But But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, it's kind of getting more that dry, papery, bitter sort of a taste. It's getting a little more bitter and getting a little warm now. So overall, I would say it's not a great smoke, not a horrible smoke. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. But there are pros and cons to this. You know, it did change a good bit for the first half of the cigar. So it wasn't a boring cigar. It definitely changed a good bit, and so that's kind of a plus. I like that. Um, like I said, at first it did have some very nice notes at the beginning. It was kind of a slightly sweet, with a bit of a pepper zing on the tongue, but that only lasted for the first 5 or 10 minutes. So for the rest of the smoke, the flavors weren't great. They weren't awful, but they weren't great. So it's got pros and cons. I would say I'd have to give this overall about a 6.5 out of 10. But definitely getting bitter, too hot. So one more puff and I'll be done with it. Yeah, that's it. That was get the little band here. I check the band off. It's the Casa de Garcia Churchill Red. So, if it sounds pretty good to you, pick you one up and try it out. Tell me how you like it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Keep on piping. Keep on sticking.